Welcome to the Kotak Workshop. Today we are going to be taking an old classic board game, Scrabble, and modifying or building a base for the game board such that it can rotate and store the pieces in something more attractive than the sort of plastic that it would come with. So this was a Christmas gift, so this video won't be going out till after Christmas, but just wanted to show you how we can upgrade and make something more fun to use. Hope you enjoy. What I want to do is make a box that allows the board to rotate if people are playing and the pieces are on there, so it has to be very smooth. What I've got is a bearing that came from the lathe restoration that I did, but this is quite smooth, and I got some very simple plywood, and I've got a bit of a dowel. It's too wide at the moment, but the idea that I've got is that this will sit in here and we'll be able to make it rotate. So let's see how we get on, and let's get going. So we want this to fit in here, so if it's that distance we just need to take a very small amount off, and it's a skew chisel. So here at the Kotak Workshop we've got some high-tech CAD equipment here, piece of chalk and a piece of board painted with blackboard paint. But what we're thinking is a sort of layer cake type affair, and the top here sort of having that would be underneath, and having that be able to turn. So we might need something in the corners for it to turn on, and then a base to store the letters in. It might not exactly turn out like that, but that's the sort of working diagram that's in my head at the moment. So I've got this box of leftover wood from the coffee table project. I know it's really nice and wanted to do something with it, so it looks like I might be able to make a box out of these, at least the sides, because then I'll be able to store the board inside the box. So this is my saw setup. I have a ruler, and underneath is a thick iron or steel bar, and then I use these magnet stops. When the magnet is on, it's held firmly in place, and I know this distance, and then I know the distance to the blade on that side. So what I've done is set a stop up here, clamped it down so it's held securely, and then I can make a cut. Beautiful. Okay, I now have 8 lovely hand-planed sides, and I am now going to put these together to make a box. And you can see where the dowel holes used to be. So I'm going to make a feature out of it, or not a feature out of it, I'm actually going to use it and do a half lap joint, which is Rob Cosman's new favourite joint if you follow his channel. So what I want to do is extend this along to make a half lap, and then leave this, but use that edge as the other part of the lap in there. For this next part, we're going to use the router table, which I'm going to set up, and I just want to talk about choice of router bits. Router, potato. This is a standard, rather worn, regular two-sided router bit. This is a solid carbide, and it's a compression cut. And then this is a helix down cut. Different purposes, different uses. These are more expensive and leave a cleaner cut. However, you have a choice of either the underside or the bottom of the cut being clean, but maybe the top not. So this compression cut bit is what I'm going to use. It's probably overkill for this tiny little woodworking project, but I've got these bits, they were recommended, they work great, and so I'm going to use it. Okay, I've got the router table set up. After a bit of trial and error, I've actually gone for this style of router bit because it's giving the cleanest edge on the inside and at the bottom of the cut, or the top, this way around. I've got the piece of wood and then a sacrificial bit at the back to hopefully stop a bit of blowout, because it's the thinnest part here, it's likely to split. And then I've got a guide to help me keep it at 90 degrees. Got the guards as close as I can without them getting damaged. It's going to be quite noisy, so I'm going to put some ear defenders on. And I've got safety glasses on. Let's go. A nice clean cut. I could probably go a little bit deeper and further in. And you see on the sacrificial part, that's the blowout. So that happened there instead of there. Obviously we turn it over, so I've got another side to use. There we go. Lovely, smooth, half bridle joint. It's candle wax. These have now dried overnight, so what I'm going to do is round off these edges of the top and the bottom. Okay, I've decided to go for a thicker top, so this is thicker than the one I had before. So I've transferred the holes over, screws. I've marked where this needs to go, drilled 4 holes through, and then countersunk on the other side, so I can screw through to hold this in the right position. A bit more sanding to do, but the corners are starting to look good. And I've also cut this height so that it's going to be a bit more flush to the side. I've then got these plastic fittings, which are for the base of things to roll, but I'm going to use them this way around and fit them in so that it can take any pressure or weight. There shouldn't be much, but might as well have some help. So thinking about it overnight, gluing this in was a mistake. So I've hit it with a hammer, and because CA glue, it's very strong but brittle, if you hit it from the side, it snaps and comes loose. Because I need to be able to attach the top to this and then screw these screws down and then have a cover over the top. So it was going to be impossible, and I realised that. Okay, so I've glued 4 guide pieces down so that this can now lower into that gap. It's going to be a bit fiddly, and I might have to do a bit of sanding, but that's the idea. I've also started to cut some inserts that are going to go in here as well. Okay, this is a round old bit, and I've got this. So the next thing I want to do is fit in some hinges so that it opens. So I've cut a rough circle out on the bandsaw. You can see it's not perfect, but I'm going to tidy that up on the table saw. Okay, post-project appraise time. Some people call it an after-action review. We've literally just had the dust settle on cleaning up the workshop after this project, and time to reflect and see what we could have done better or differently. So here's the finished project, and I'm quite pleased with it. It was designed on the hoof, and did we meet cost? Well, since all the parts are recycled, left over, even the screws, there was really very little cost. So yes. Did we meet schedule? Well, this is about 4 days before Christmas that I'm filming, and it is now in a state to be wrapped up and handed over for Christmas. So yes, but there are a few things that I'm not so happy with. This mechanism at the front here, I don't like that we can see a screw, and because it's screwed into a pine dowel, this action is eventually going to make that pop out. So I thought of different ways of doing it. Originally I tried to start with a magnet, and my latest thought is, why do I have the springs pulling it in the way when I could have the springs pushing it out and have a simple groove here? It doesn't need to be that strong. So I could change it, but what I realized is when I glued this down, the screws to take the lid off are underneath here. So that stopped me going back and making this modification. If it breaks, which it will, which is fine, I can do that. And what I may do temporarily is put a piece of wood over the top. This upholstery, it feels great. It's got nice friction to it for the board, but because I chose this material, which has got stripes on it, you can see that it's a little bit wavy. I've never done any upholstering before. This was the first time I've done exterior upholstering, and I used this because it was left over and because it's Scottish, and I like the pattern, and only now I point it out can I really see it. But does it affect the functionality and the purpose of the board? Not at all. Other things, you can see that it isn't exactly in the center, so different orientations. That's only because I was very quick in the measuring of it, and also because the wood that I used for the base, as you recall, is recycled and left over from the coffee table project, and I maximized the amount of wood I could get in order for the board to fit inside. So I just had enough left over, but it meant that the other way, the other direction, it wouldn't have fitted. Don't know if you can quite see that. It wouldn't fit. That means this is not a square, which means this is a different shape. Can you tell? Yes, probably. Does it affect the functioning of the project? No, and in this orientation, it's perfect. I'm quite pleased with the hinges. They look quite neat. But again, I had to put in an extra piece of wood here and here, so it is glued right next to where the screws go. That is because these are the hinges I had available. They were free, they were recovered from a previous project, so I used what I had. Also, this material in here is recycled, it's left over from some napkins. I like the colour, but it's a polyester cotton mix, and cutting it with a knife I found quite difficult, and so some of these edges in here aren't quite as neat as I would want them to be. So I cheated down here and put these dividers of wood in against where the edges are, so you can't see that. But I didn't do it at the top and the bottom because that would then stop the board from fitting. I could have raised it up. These I think turned out really well. I was super pleased to be able to show the different woods. The lilac I probably pushed a little bit and had to use a tiny bit of filler. but I just love this colour. It's spectacular, and I've got more of that, so I'll be using more of that. So very pleased with how these turned out. So this is the second game box that I've made. The first one was a simple hinge to hold some chess pieces at the bottom of a chessboard. So I had an early prototype. So this is more than a prototype, but if I was to do it all again, I've learned a lot doing it. There's some techniques that I've tried in here that I've never done before. I enjoyed designing the mechanism. That was good fun. It works. I know that it's probably not going to be the most robust, and also this screw is annoying me, so I am thinking about putting a piece of wood on top of it. But you just keep thinking. You keep thinking of ideas. I've got a rechargeable drill that I don't use. It's got an electrical motor in it. What about if you made it so that you could push a button and the table would rotate? Is that fine woodworking? No. But is it fun? Absolutely. I hope you've enjoyed this. I certainly enjoyed making it. I'm looking forward to seeing the reaction by the time this video goes out. If you did like it, thanks for staying all this way, and really appreciate you staying the course. Hope you got something out of it. If you did, please hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, please do so, and stick around to see what we get up to in 2022. In the meantime, have a very happy Christmas and a great New Year, and all the best to you and your loved ones for the coming year from the Kotak Workshop. Thank you.